Hello, everyone. Welcome to the greatest show on earth, otherwise known as the Dr. Quack Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Quack.
And I'm about to change my name because right now I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem, but apparently somebody thought this show was all about me, and good God, was it not?
Oh, yes, 1999, the year WCW presented Mayhem, presented by also Electronic Arts. They made great video games, didn't they?
Madden, yes.
Madden, yes. That is the one thing where they were great at. Because wrestling games, not so much with WCW. But yes, we're going to continue on here. November 21st, 1999 at the Canada Air venue there. In Canada.
The Electronic Arts Center in Toronto, Canada. Hence why EA was the sponsor of this show. And we need to go into a little history like we always do. So you guys are well familiar with the guys named Vince Russo and Ed Ferreira.
Oh, yeah.
They had been hired a month before. This is the start of their god-awful reign in WCW. We're going to see some very embarrassing things because of their, as it's been called, crash the wrestling cart into the crowd style of booking, the let's run you out of business style of booking that they had, and it was on full display here.
Yeah, the start of pretty much their close to 18-month reign of terror in WCW. Thank God that it didn't last too much longer. But you had Tony Schiavone and Bobby Heenan on commentary.
And you could tell Bobby Heenan phoned it in.
Did, totally.
Tony Schiavone tries. I'm going to say one nice thing about Tony Schiavone. As much of a jerk as he is, as much as a controlling, whiny little freak that he is, at least he gives 100% to the product. He may not be very good at it, but 100% at least he gives that.
Oh, man. On interviews, we had me, Gene Okerlund, and Mike Tenay. Yeah!
Yeah, so... a little bit more going into this.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot one person on commentary talking about Oklahoma.
We're going to get to that garbage later. So, this show was based around a 32-man title tournament to crown a new WCW World Champion because Sting won the belt. Russo and Ferrara were not fans of Sting and immediately stripped him of the title for reasons. No reason to put it up there. No reason. We did it for you. We're going to make sure we do your job so you don't have to because you screw it up.
Yes, you do.
So anyway, we're at the last two. There's going to be two matches and then the final determine the champion of the WCW. And we start off with one of those two matches, which is actually a halfway decent match, even for a guy I really don't like and have openly admitted it. Jeff Jarrett versus Chris Benoit.
Yes, I love this match. I thought that actually Jeff Jarrett did a great job here. I mean, they worked well. I mean, the ending kind of got on my nerves a little bit, but overall, I gave it 3 stars.
Yeah, Charles Robinson got to do this match. I went 2 3/4. Again, I am not a big Jeff Jarrett fan. That guy never drew a dime. He, as you often say about Triple H, he was with the guys who drew money, but he wasn't the guy to draw money. And
you didn't like Slapnuts?
No. I wanted to go 3 stars on this match, but the theme of this show was not WCW Mayhem. It was WCW Run-Ins. We've got Creative Control, a.k.a. Ron and Don Harris, a.k.a. whatever dumb names they were given. And Dustin Rhodes comes running out. And we've got a fight over the guitar that you can tell was so poorly put together. It got accidentally dropped and broke, and they had to use what they could. Charles Robinson ignoring the pieces all around him to count the 3 count. The match was good. The ending was dumb, so it only got 2 3/4 from me. But Chris Benoit moves on to take on whoever the other winner is for the WCW World title.
Yes, and I don't want to get out of order, but ring announcing Michael Buffer and David Penzer.
Yeah, I don't remember Michael Buffer actually saying a word.
No, I do not either.
But Dave Penzer was there, and as we said, we're more fans of Gary Michael Capetta than Dave Penzer, but he didn't do bad.
Yes, he did fine. Evan Courageous with Medusa taking on the Disco Inferno and with Tony Marinara for the WCW Cruiserweight title.
Yeah, Mickey J got to referee this match. And the story going on here is that Disco Inferno owed somebody some money. And I think it was Tony Marinara.
Yes.
And so he's trying, actually before the match starts, he's trying to figure out the cost value of the WCW title if he were to pawn it, and gets attacked by Jeff Jarrett and Creative Control. And that was dumb. And then we got Tony Marinara dragging him to the ring. And I'm going to say this right now about Evan Courageous. Evan Courageous was actually an actor on General Hospital.
Yes.
And after this, shortly after WCW folds, the AWA reopens and they make Evan Courageous their 3-time world champion without recognition for the AWA. And I'm wondering who the hell thought this guy could wrestle. He tried to throw a drop kick and hit Disco Inferno with his ass. This match sucked. He couldn't do a hip toss right. He almost dropped Disco Inferno in a hip toss on his head. This match was all over the place. Another one of those Vince Russo, Ed Ferrara, where they thought hot women out there were more important than the wrestling. This match sucked balls. 1.25 stars. Evan Courageous wins the Cruiserweight title.
Yeah, I went 2 stars on it, but I felt like this match was all about Medusa's enhancements, because that's what she pretty much got, and they wanted to make sure those were exposed, just like you said with Vince Russo. Her and Marinara out there fighting on the outside was kind of corny. I didn't like it too much. The match was
I'm going to give you an all-encompassing of how much the fans cared about this match. They had a 3-minute boring chant.
Yes, they did. And it was not edited out either. Moving along here, we have Norman Smiley taking on Brian Knobbs with Jimmy Hart for the Hardcore Championship. The inaugural Hardcore Championship. Who doesn't love a big wiggle?
Nick Patrick refereed this match, and I'm going to read my notes verbatim. In fact, to verify. I hate to say it, I liked this match.
I know he does. The only problem I have with this match was there was no blood. When you're in this time frame, there was no COVID, back in the Attitude Era. Everybody else was bleeding. ECW was bleeding. WWF was bleeding. WCW decided not to bleed in their inaugural Hardcore Championship match, but we got the big wiggle. Yeah. I gave it 2.75 stars. I would have gave it 3 if there would have been some blood.
Yeah, I went 2.5. Like I said, I hate to admit it, I liked this match. I really did. It was corny and in all the good ways. They fought into and out of an elevator. They destroyed the backstage food concession area. Jimmy Hart throwing cans and pasta at Norman Smiley. Norman Smiley doing his screaming, coming out there in a hockey gear for the Toronto Maple Leafs like he was the goalie with the big shin pads. I actually enjoyed this match. 2.5 stars.
There you go. Moving along, we had the revolution of Perry Saturn, Dean Malenko, and Asia with Shane Douglas out there, who also did commentary, taking on the Filthy Animals, Eddie Guerrero, Billy Kidman, and Tori Wilson with Conan, an intergender elimination tag match. Yes, all this stuff where we didn't need 2 women in this match. Seriously, this would have been better a tag team match.
Yes, it would have been. And excuse me for a second, because somebody wants to bother the crap out of us, so I'm going to tell them right now, stop bothering us. We don't need our car insurance redone.
Yes, I thought that might have been better than this match here at some point.
Yeah, Charles Robinson, and this match had so much potential. You've got... Now, Shane Douglas was hurt at this time, so he couldn't compete. That's why he was standing on the side. But you've got Dean Malenko, one of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time. Eddie Guerrero, who's a great technical wrestler in and of himself as well. Perry Saturn, a great wrestler. Billy Kidman, a great wrestler. And then you got the Playboy Playmate Future and the knockoff of China, Asia, in a 6-person elimination match. And this match was
My biggest problem in this match was security. How do you not see the Canadian fan out there poking Dean Malenko with the human flag over there, the flagpole with Canada on it?
We'll get more into that in a little bit.
Yes, we will, unfortunately.
Because the person who was poking Dean Malenko with that flag was a guy that worked at the power plant who never made his way all the way up to the main show with any kind of significance. His name was Chad Brock. He's a former country singer.
Yes.
There you go.
The finish of this match really just kind of irked me because it came down to Perry Saturn and Tori Wilson, because that's what you want for a finish, right? Tori Wilson is trying to be seductive and then gives him a low blow and tries to go for the 3. Perry kicks out. Perry gives her a low blow and gets the 3 count. And Tony Schiavone's not sure if it actually hurt her. He said that on TV.
Yeah, now to explain for those of you who are not familiar with the Attitude Era, women fighting men and men fighting women was a common phenomenon in this time. Come around 2007 or 2008, that kind of went away where men don't hit women. But at this time, they were all considered wrestlers, so it was fair game if you were in the ring. And yes, Tony Schiavone has never touched a woman's boob ever in his life. The order of this elimination here. This match, I gave it 1 3/4 stars. Sorry, I didn't mean to mess you up. You messed me up.
You're good.
I gave this thing 1 3/4 star. This match had absolutely no story, no build up to these eliminations. We had 5 eliminations in 6 minutes and 53 seconds.
Yes.
The first one, Billy Kidman, because he got knocked backwards and got rolled up. Then Malenko got eliminated. Then Asia. Then Eddie Guerrero. And last, Tori Wilson, as he talked about, in a riveting 1 3/4 star match.
Yeah, I went pretty much that myself. I'll say 2 just to be nice. But he hit her with the clam slam, and that's how Perry Saturn got the victory.
There you go.
But moving along here, yes, Buff Bagwell taking on Kurt Hennig in a retirement match. You could tell Kurt Hennig was so thrilled to be there just by his work and everything he did. You could tell he was just like, can his match be over?
Yeah, Nick Patrick refereed this match, and they had a little package going on because apparently Kurt Hennig said the next person to pin his shoulders would cause him to retire. So they showed these things like he tapped out, he didn't get pinned, or he got disqualified, he didn't get pinned. So we get that kind of stuff going on. And this is another one of those, Vince Russo doesn't have any concept of how to put together a show that makes sense. Because here we already have a world title match going on. We have a cruiserweight title match, the inaugural hardcore match, a 6-person elimination match, and now we've got a loser retirement match. This match should have been a main event. Yes, it should not have been with Buff Bagwell, but Kurt Hennig's retirement match should have been a big deal, especially considering he died some 4 years later of a cocaine overdose. Very sad ending for a great, great wrestler.
Yeah.
I went 2.5. Kurt Hennig pulled something pretty decent out of Buff Bagwell. We have bashed him at length. It's pretty bad. Buff Bagwell's so bad, he's the first person to get thrown out the door at WWF when they get bought out by WCW gets bought out. He has a match and it's so bad Triple H literally throws him out the door and then rips up his contract the next day. But this one also had another run-in. Jeff Jarrett and Creative Control came down there for reasons. And it was an anticlimactic win for Kurt Hennig to count the lights. But I did go 2.5. At least Kurt, you could tell, yeah, you're right. He wasn't happy, but at least his work was still there.
Yeah, I gave it 2 stars. I'm just thanking God that wasn't his last official match because he did come back in the WWE around the 2002 time frame.
Now they're trying to get a hold of you and want to see if you want your...
No, I don't want my car storage. Jeez, leave me alone. I got a show to do.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on here. Now, this match here, I actually enjoyed. Semifinals, Bret Hart and Sting. I actually enjoyed this match. I mean, it was always a fantasy match to have because the Scorpion Deathlock and the Sharpshooter are pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, Mickey J refereed this one. And, of course, we get a Luger run in. You know, keep it with the theme here. At least Russo and Ferrara are consistent. When they suck, they just keep sucking. I was okay with this match. It wasn't great. I only gave it 2 stars. This took place about 6 months after the end of, I'm getting annoyed because that wasn't somebody who wanted car insurance. They wanted to see if they wanted to buy his house, and he doesn't live in a house.
See? Weird stuff.
Get over yourselves, people. You're not that important. But anyway, so this is about 6 months after the very tragic death of Owen Hart on May 23rd, 1999 because of the fall. Mm-hmm. So we're only 6 months past this. You can tell Bret Hart is not all there. You can tell he still hates working for WCW. You can tell Sting doesn't like working for Vince Russo. So neither one of these guys really tried. And they had a really dumb disqualification that Sting pulled Mickey J in front of Bret Hart. So there was a disqualification and Bret Hart didn't want it. So the match gets restarted just to put on the sharpshooter. It wasn't any better. 2 stars.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I thought it went 2 3/4. I wasn't horribly there. I hate the finish. I hate the run-ins. That was kind of garbage. But it was just nice to see that these 2 icons went in the ring and fought each other. That part got me there on the nostalgia. So that's why I'm going 2 3/4.
Yes, and 5 minutes later, we have Lex Luger cutting a promo about how he's already seen the doctor and he's wearing a cervical collar.
Yes,
all I could do was laugh at it. It was so dumb. And I was like, really? You think it takes 5 minutes to see a doctor and put a neck brace on?
Oh, my God.
Dr. Quack, does it take longer than 5 minutes just to see a doctor?
Yes, it does.
Moving on.
Moving along to my 2-finger salute. Because this match here just overall was chaos. But the biggest thing I'm giving my 2-finger salute to, and this was Vampiro with
Jerry Only.
Yeah, Jerry Only taking on Berlin with the wall in a submission, in a dog collar match, right? And the biggest problem with this match wasn't that. It was the fact that you had Ed Ferreira come out here as Oklahoma, and you had Dr. Death Steve Williams come out here. And here's several things that pissed me off with this. One, you're going to imitate the man after he got diagnosed with Bell's palsy. That was ridiculous. B, Dr. Death Steve Williams was a friend with Jim Ross, and then all of a sudden, now he's going to appear with a knockoff? That was ridiculous. And just the whole concept of this was stupid. Vampiro! 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 Suplex! 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 Make sure you try my barbecue sauce. Yes, all that was just really insulting, and that is why I think part of the reason why it led to the death of WCW was things like that.
It is well known Vince Russo hated Jim Ross. Ed Ferreira actually didn't. They weren't friends, but he didn't hate Jim Ross. And Vince Russo talked Ed Ferreira. This is the first time we get to see Oklahoma. They came down to Boomer Sooner. He came out with a bottle of barbecue sauce and Dr. Death Steve Williams. Now, Dr. Death, he didn't do this to be spiteful. He did it because he got paid a lot of money.
Yeah. And at the time, he kind of needed it, but still.
Yeah, he needed the money. But yeah, we get this, and we get, moving on from this, Oklahoma's actually going to win the Cruiserweight title somewhere down the road. He gets into a feud with Medusa and also almost wins the women's title. Because you know he's got no balls. That's why he's going for the women's title. And this was not even a dog collar match. Not one time did Berlin and Vampiro both have the dog collar on around their neck. Jerry Tuitt, a.k.a. The Wall, had it on for a little while. And then Berlin kept pulling him off because Jerry Tuitt wasn't in the match. Berlin was. This thing sucked. Jerry Only can't bump. Yes, I know he was hired by the WCW as part of the Misfits. The rock band, not the Misfits in Action, or the punk band, let's make it correct, the punk band. And Berlin was god-awful. He was no longer Das Wunderkind. He was the guy with the dumb triangle on top of his head. Good God, this thing went on forever. And then we see another appearance of the guy with the flag, but it's not the same guy. But they kind of stayed on him a little too long. I had to give it 1 star just from the standpoint of, at least a few of the bumps were kind of fun. Yippee.
Yippee. Yeah. God, moving along, please. Yes, we had Ming taking on the total package with Elizabeth. And I'm going to tell you, the only part I liked about this whole match was that Elizabeth sprayed him with pepper spray. Sprayed the total package in the face. Because outside this match was just hot ass.
I hate to say this, but I love seeing Luger get his ass kicked.
Yeah, that was probably a good part.
I went 2 stars. Now, we have bashed Lex Luger at length. At this time, Lex Luger and Elizabeth were dating in real life. This led to her death some 4 years later. I'm sad to say.
Yep.
At least I'm going to give Lex Luger a little bit of credit. He has taken full responsibility for everything that happened after his spinal stroke. He's gone through a lot of problems. He's paid his debt to society. So good on you for what you do now, but at that time you sucked balls and I hoped you jumped off a roof.
Yeah.
So I did give it 2 stars because I enjoyed seeing Lex Luger get beat up.
Yeah, I'll go with that as well. Moving along, the WCW United States and Television Champion. Yeah, you'll go into that. Scott Hall taking on Booker T.
Yeah, so Rick Steiner was the TV champion. And because Vince Russo doesn't like Rick Steiner, had Rick Steiner take the jackknife off the stage that Eric Bischoff took and walked back on set 30 minutes later, but Rick Steiner has to be out of action for 6 weeks. So therefore, he gets stripped of the title because of a forfeit, and it gets put on Scott Hall. And Scott Hall, because he had to defend the title, he came out and did an open challenge and was challenged by a guy that this match should have been a lot better than it was. I would have loved to have seen an actual real competition between clean, clear, sober Scott Hall and Booker T.
Yeah.
Scott Hall, you could tell, was a little on the close to the bottle side.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a good match, but it was a useless finish. We get another run-in from somebody that was training in the power plant, a female that went by the name Midnight. She was a very tall, very well-built woman who had all the skills of a tectonic plate. She lasted about 9 months, and then she retired to go back to being a bodybuilder. But she got a payday. She was on there. So I went 2.5 stars. This match should have been a 3-star match. Scott Hall retained. But again, I think we got another standards in practice, or another Jeff Jarrett run-in this match too. I quit writing them down. There was like 8 of them in this match, in this show.
Yeah, I went 2.5. And if you need any proof of no matter how great your talent is, your management can screw up everything, WCW 1998, late 1998, all the way up until its ending. That proves it to me.
Yep. World class. What the did we just watch?
Right. Pure trash. But moving along here, now we got the great match here. Yes, we've got David Flair taking on Kimberly Page. I'm going to let you start on it. I can't with this show. I'd rather watch Bash at the Beach 2000, I think.
Okay, yeah. Because Bash at the Beach was at least interesting in the fact of it was sometimes car crashes are fun to watch and sometimes they're not. This was a car crash not worth watching.
No.
And I'm going to tell you how much I cared about this match. The entire match was incomplete. It's not even getting sprayed.
That's the exact...
It only gets shown because this match never started.
This, again, was about showing Kimberly Page's enhancements here because, God, who wrestles in that kind of shirt and expects them to stay on?
Yeah, David Flair was doing the crowbar thing. He was, staring off into space. Who cares? Then Arn Anderson, then the Outsiders came down. Who cares? Then Arn Anderson comes down. Who cares? Then Crowbar hits Arn Anderson, takes off running. Who cares? This match was incomplete. None of it made sense. There was no reason for this thing to exist. This should have existed on Thunder. Actually, we're going to do one either. WCW Saturday Night. Because that did still exist at this time.
Barely, but yes. Moving along here, thank God. Goldberg taking on Sid Vicious in an I Quit match. Yes, we had this.
It was an I Quit match that nobody quit. when we reviewed Beach Brawl 96, when we talked about the street fight that ended in a double disqualification, I think Herb Abrams, when he died, his spirit channeled into Vince Russo. Because this is no lie. Goldberg put Sid in some kind of sleeper clutch type of thing, and Sid passed out, so the referee, Mickey J., declared that he quit because he was out cold.
Well, they did the same thing with Bret Hart and Steve Austin, didn't they? When Austin passed out in the sharpshooter.
At least it was done well there.
Yeah,
Again, Herb Abrams was being channeled here. 1.5 stars. Goldberg and Sid have no chemistry. This match was not fun, and we didn't get to hear a Sid promo where he said something stupid. 1.5 stars.
Yeah, I'm going nice. I'm going 2 stars just because. If you didn't see it, you wouldn't believe it. Moving along here, we're going into my Quack Attack because this match is the main event and really the only reason you would ever want to tune into this show. We watch the stuff so you don't have to. That is our job here. Yes, Bret Hart.
We're better than scrubbing bubbles.
Yes, Bret Hart, Chris Benoit in the finals for the championship. The only part I did not like about this match was simply Dean Malenko coming out in the beginning, but both of them brushed him off, did not want it. This was a classic. I definitely enjoyed it. I went 4 stars on this. I thought that this was definitely one of WCW's best matches they had of this year.
Yeah, this started out with Charles Robinson. Charles Robinson gets taken out by somebody. I don't even remember what happened. It wasn't somebody hit him with something, and he stayed down the rest of the show. So they brought Mickey J down here, and unfortunately, I agree with you. The action here was a 4-star match. The problem is we got Dean Malenko running out there. He's now the Canadian guy.
Yes.
And he wiped his face in the Canadian flag. The crowd loved this match between the two of these Canadians. They were big on this. We got the Outsiders came in again.
Yes.
We got Goldberg in again. So I can only give this match 3 stars because there was just too much garbage. That really hurt this really, really good match. These guys, great back and forth action. Now the sharpshooter I felt could have come a little bit slower than it did, but they really were doing a lot of back and forth, both trying to get their big signature move on. The crossface versus the sharpshooter, and then it's a double leg sweep into it. But so it was a little fast, I thought, but other than that, it worked well. But I can only go 3. I really only could. I mean, there was too much, like everything Vince Russo did. He thought he had a variety show, and part of it was wrestling. He didn't focus on the wrestling. He focused on everything else.
And if you think about this was kind of the start where Benoit was like, I'm tired of being treated like this, and I should be a champion. Because what happened about a year later?
Not even that much later when he came over as the Radicals. He won the title, and the next day left.
Yep. That's how important that title was to him at that point. But this match was great. I love that the family was in there. You know, at the end, this was a good feeling. I went 4 stars. I was enjoyable.
And a great show of respect between Benoit and Bret Hart. This is the second time, to the best of my knowledge, whether WWF or WCW, only 2 times they wrestled. And they wrestled a lot in Canada, but they both wrestled both on WCW. The first was right after Owen had passed, and then this match here.
Yeah, so that's the end of our show. Thank you, God, here. 30 minutes we've went through this.
I'm going to be happy. I'm going to try this. I'm going to be happy. We're going to get a great show. We're going to get an awesome show to review next. Come on, great show. Come on, great show.
You know what?
Are we getting a good show?
Look, we've already suffered through our shows here.
Yes, we have.
So I'm going to let you pick the next show.
I get to pick the next show?
I hope I don't regret this. But yes.
Editor? Give him the 3. There it is.
Oh, boy. I remember this show.
Yeah, there's a lot of history in this show.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to have some fun here. So make sure you tune in for that. I'm Dr. Quack.
And I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem. And while this show that we're getting ready to do next has a lot of faults, at least it's not WCW or 1995.
I can't believe you gave him credit.